thank you all for being part of the session today. So this session title is Integrate with Guidewire Connect for a faster delivery on Guidewire Cloud. Since we're going to be talking here about new capabilities, we present this safe harbor that you have seen in other sessions, even on the main stage today. My name is Renato Quintal. I've been with Guidewire since 2007. I'm a practice director responsible for solution standardization in our cloud delivery strategy team. And what this means is that our team is responsible for the delivery content, the pre-built content that is published as part of SurePath, that is functional and technical content, as well as the SurePath tools that is put out by the SurePath engineering team, and the publishing of the cloud delivery standards. I live in Northern Florida. Rick?
Yeah, hi, I'm Rick Jones, practice director for integration strategy in our cloud delivery strategy group. I've been with Guidewire a little over 15 years, and I live in Atlanta.
So integration is such a heavy topic, right, that we just put this fake quote when we were asked to provide a quote for something that is new, right, just to lighten up the mood a little bit. So this quote was not provided by Oprah, just in case if you're wondering. We have 5 items in the agenda. We're going to describe a little bit of the challenges related to integrations that we have heard from our customers. We'll be introducing Guidewire Connect, what it is, what are the integrations, the common integrations that are part of Guidewire Connect, discuss a little bit related to the pricing of Guidewire Connect, and how our customers can get started. So we're going to be addressing the common integration delivering challenges. Right on this stage, per our introduction, we have about over 30 years of delivering Guidewire integrations and Guidewire implementations. And those are the common the challenges that we have heard from our customers over the years related to integrations, right? The first one is customers, when they are going through the implementation, they are not focused with regards to integration on adopting the latest product capabilities as part of the integration implementation. Another challenge that we hear often is that a large portion of the implementation effort is related to common integration. And this is integration that most projects have to do, and it takes investment away from other strategic differentiators and focus that they could gear that effort towards. The next challenge is post-go live. It is a challenge to maintain the team if there is, for example, a churn in the team, train the team on those integrations that were previously built. And on top of that is how to evolve those integrations. The third-party vendors make change to their systems. They need to adopt those into production. So with those 4 challenges, we are trying to, or our goal is with Guidewire Connect to solve for this. So we're introducing Guidewire Connect, right, which make those integrations now simple, seamless, and smart. So Guidewire Connect, right, we're very excited about this, and it's a subscription-based service for select common integrations to make them easy, quick, and accessible. So the insurers leverage the Guidewire Connect apps that will be on Marketplace to implement the latest third-party vendors' technologies with our SurePath approach. And the best part is the upgrade, support, and maintenance is part of that subscription service. This means that is a faster implementation, a predictable delivery, and the integrations are, at that moment, kept up to date, and the simplified and cost-effective subscription is referring to the price is very simple with just a couple of fees that I'll be describing towards the end. So the integrations, everyone that has gone through them know that integrations are not plug and play, right? They require a lot of effort to be delivered. And with the pre-built content, the Guidewire Connect apps that are on Marketplace, we are looking to accelerate this delivery. And this content, if you came just from the previous session that we were presenting, it is content that is follow our cloud delivery standards. It is aligned with our the roadmap of our product capabilities. It's leverage the latest capabilities for the integration. If the previous sessions right here was about the integration gateway that you, if you were here, you heard about. And we are also following all the standards related to quality and including our standard compliant tests. With Guidewire Connect, right, it's the subscription includes the maintenance and updates of those integrations, which means is that twice a year we provide with every major cloud release, we update the integrations to make sure it's making use of the latest capabilities that are coming. So it's not only maintaining the integrations running and aligned, but also making use of the new capabilities. And on top of that, we also include into the integrations any changes that are made by the third parties, right? So we are really keeping those up to date and make it future-proof. And all of this is made in coordination with our solution partners that are part of this program. With regards to pricing, right, the cost-effective subscription is a single fee, right, that includes all of those components, and it is not DWP-based. It's very simplified to make it a very easy decision for customers that decide to go this route. Now, the important thing here is this is an additional offering to customers, right? What we're referring here is if a customer decides or makes a decision, they can still implement the integration on their own, right? We think that this is the most cost-effective, the better alternative because of the future-proof being aligned with not only the product roadmap, but the cloud delivery standards. But customers still have the choice of their creating the implementation if they choose. This is an additional offering in this case. So what is included? I made mention to this on the previous slides. So any technology changes that is part of the integration, for example, here are some simple examples, right? If you're moving a protocol, you are changing the security aspects, anything that is related to the integration, Guidewire Connect apps would be covered under the subscription, right? If the third-party vendor includes new functionality as part of their solution that is aligned with the scope of the integration, we would make changes that would be made available twice a year as well, right? What is excluded, right, are aspects for some of the integrations are vendor-specific. If the customer decides to change the vendor, then it's no longer with that integration, right? Then the subscription ceases, right? If the vendor discontinues providing that service, also the subscription ceases, right? And the last point here is if a vendor launches a new offering that has a complete different scope, complete different name, it's not an evolution of what that integration was, then is also excluded from the subscription, right? Most likely would refer to a new subscription with the new offering and not just updating the existing offering. Now, the important thing to highlight is that each of the integrations that Rick will be referring to, what they are, come with a solution guide. And this solution guide outlines the functional and technical scope of the integration and any additional scope that the project wants to implement would be part of their implementation, is not part of the subscription. So to give an example, right? If one of the integrations is motor vehicle records, right? The MVR records. That integration is part of the guide. There is a Guidewire Connect app for that. If the customer, as part of the implementation, uses the MVR record into their rating algorithm, right? That is something that they are doing as part of the implementation. It's not part of what is maintained by the Guidewire Connect app subscription, but the integration itself is. Rick?
Thanks, Renato. So why are we doing this now? The better question might be, why haven't we done this before? But there are some things that make this uniquely possible for us to consider doing this now. To start with, Guidewire Cloud Platform gives us a standard delivery foundation for delivering standardized integrations, and it gives us access to a wide variety of cloud-native services that facilitate these integrations, things like Amazon S3, Amazon Managed Service for Kafka, DynamoDB, and other services that we get along with Guidewire Cloud Platform. But by far the biggest driver for this initiative is Integration Gateway. And hopefully you were able to attend the session previous to this one, or you'll be able to check in with some of the other sessions this week. But Guidewire Integration Gateway, it's effectively a managed service for Apache Camel. Apache Camel is the leading open source integration framework in the world. It provides a set of over 50 enterprise integration patterns and a framework for implementing those patterns. It also provides over 100 standard components that allow you to integrate with a variety of systems and protocols for things like REST, SOAP, JMS, S3, Kafka, and many, many more things. And all of the Guidewire Connect content that we're going to talk about today is based on Integration Gateway. So that's a very important reason that we're moving to this model. Guidewire has also introduced Guidewire Data Platform. And Data Platform provides a framework for building data-oriented integrations for things like general ledger, stat reporting, tax reporting, those types of things. As far as the Guidewire Connect's, the content itself, we've built a catalog of over 20 integration apps to date, and we'll look at what those include in just a minute. And that content is built by a team within the Cloud Delivery Strategy Group. It consists of a lot of the former SurePath integration team. And it's also important to note that that team is now part of the PDO organization. So let's take a minute and talk about what's on the menu for Guidewire Connect. So the first thing to point out for this slide, there's 3 columns. The first 2 columns are apps that are specific to a particular vendor or a particular solution partner. The third column includes Connect apps that are not specific to any particular vendor. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. The other thing to note here is that each of the apps is categorized by tier, small, medium, and large. And that categorization is based on the complexity of actually building the content itself, but also the complexity of delivering and configuring that content for a customer. And Renato will talk a little bit in a minute. The tiering is also related to the pricing for the Connect apps. A couple of things to notice here. You'll notice that we've basically implemented support for the entire document lifecycle and for all of Insurance Suite. So for document production, we've implemented smart communications for all 3 Insurance Suite products, policy, billings, and claims. And this includes automated document production, interactive document production, and on-demand. For document management, we've implemented, again, for the entire suite, for Box. An interesting thing about the document management in particular is that as part of that content, about 70% of the content itself is not particular to any specific vendor. So we implemented a framework for document management that we believe addresses about 70% of the use cases or the functionality, and then the additional 30% is specific to a particular vendor. In this case, we implemented Box, and interestingly enough, Box ships a standard Camel component with Apache Camel. So we were able to implement that 30% using the standard out-of-the-box, no pun intended, Box component from Apache Camel. As just a proof of concept, we also implemented 2 other content management systems using the same framework to verify our rough estimates. And we implemented this with another standard component that comes with Camel called CMIS, the Content Management Interoperability Standard, I think. But we implemented CMIS for 2 other content management systems as well, just as a proof of concept. They're not currently available as Connect apps. We implemented electronic signature for DocuSign, again, for the entire Insurance Suite. And the entire document lifecycle is orchestrated within Integration Gateway. So all of the interaction between Insurance Suite, doc production, doc management, and electronic signature is orchestrated within Integration Gateway. As far as other Connect apps, we've implemented several Connect apps specific to LexisNexis. For Policy Center, we have credit scoring, MVR, and both Clue, auto, and property. And for Claim Center, we have police reports and claims data fill. We also implemented a Connect app for SafeLight glass claims that covers not only file-based interaction with SafeLight, but also a coverage verification service that SafeLight calls out to. And then in the vendor agnostic category, we've implemented payment, batch-based payment integration for Claim Center and Billing Center for both check printing and EFT payments. And that includes all of the standard functionality with those integrations, things like positive pay, notcher returns, cleared checks, and something else that escapes me. We also implemented bulk invoice and glass claims vendor agnostic solutions for Claim Center and for Billing Center, inbound payments file, or often referred to as lockbox payments. So what's ahead for us as far as Guidewire Connect apps? We are currently in the design phase for a more complete payment solution that includes not only the batch-oriented check printing and EFT payments, but also real-time payments, credit card, synchronous, asynchronous, and batch for both inbound and outbound. We are also, I'm sorry, I'm not going to mention that one, I forgot. But the roadmap has been driven by some of our early adopters, and will continue to be driven by early adopters. It's also been based on customer demand as well as interest from our solution partners.
Yeah, so one thing to mention about those early adopters, right? And we had 2 with Cortina. We have already 1 pretty much signing up with Dobson. And the savings that we have seen into the implementations is in the thousands of hours, right? This latest one, the latest analysis that we did on their inception, by picking up this content, they were able to reduce their integration backlog by shifting this responsibility to the Guidewire Connect apps. It reduced their integration backlog in over 25%. What this means is that they can really focus that effort on the strategic differentiators and really take advantage and not only shorten the time of what the delivery is, but also reduce the risk because now it's no longer as large as before. So the pricing, right? So when we say that it's a simple, seamless, and smart pricing, what we're referring to is before the way we estimated integration was it would be in those thousands of hours, right? And now what we're pretty much saying there are 3 buckets, right? It falls into a small complexity, medium complexity, or large complexity. And this is per each integration. And there are 2 fees associated with it, right? There is one fee that is only charged one time and is the name referred to, the setup fee. And then there is another aspect that is the annual subscription fee. Both of them tied to this small, medium, and large in terms of complexity. For a limited time, right, I mean, we are pretty much, as part of launch of the program, not charging the setup fee, meaning it's really just a subscription for customers that sign up for 3 or more of the subscriptions into the Guidewire Connect program. So you may ask, right, how do we get started? So there are 2 prerequisites, right? One, you need to be with Dobson because it is based on all of those integrations, the entire list that Rick went through and the ones that we have on the pipeline are using the integration gateway. As part of that, you need to be customers that will want to make use of Guidewire Connect apps need to sign up for the early adopter program of the integration gateway. Once you are part of that, and both of the 2 early adopters that we had with Cortina, one of them is already live, the other is gearing to be live towards the end of the year, and then we had another one that is another customer that is starting their project next month. And then how you learn more about this, you can contact your Guidewire representative. You can visit the Guidewire community, ask questions into the group, or you can email our team. We have an email alias that you can get to, which is getcloudintegrations@guidewire.com. Thank you all.
Thank you.